Hey YouTube, it's Dimitri, aka Fancy Quant, and today we're going to discuss being politically correct. So one of the keys to my channel is that I've tried to avoid being politically correct. And many people say, Dimitri, you should be politically correct. It's nice, it's the appropriate thing to do, but I absolutely hate it. The reason I hate it is a couple folds. One of them being I just hate censoring myself, and I hate the fact that people keep pushing like this media propaganda of how we should act. And yet, at the end of the day, how we should act today is just complete nonsense, and it's not helping anybody out. And one of the biggest impacts this makes is that a lot of people go out and try to get a job, and then people give them the politically correct advice, and then you don't get a job and you're upset. And part of this is that it takes time. You have to spend the time. I've seen people spend like a month and get a job. I've seen people spend years to get a job. At the end of the day, it takes patience. It takes this kind of strategy of going back and figuring out what's wrong with me, right? It's not that you are bad. It's not that you're dumb. It's not that you're inexperienced. It's that you need to learn to present yourself in a way that matches what people are looking for. And so being politically correct often, more or less, overrides that being a good candidate. And so I had a student recently, I guess a professional, that emailed me and said, hey, Dimitri, I'm looking for a job. Can you help me out? And so I emailed them back and I'm like, hey, what are you looking for? What's your background? Send me your resume. I need all this information on you. So they send me all this information. They send me their job they're looking for, and it doesn't match. And so I'm sure this person has emailed a ton of alumni. They've emailed industry professionals and said, hey, what's wrong with me? And they've casually gone through and said like, oh, you could tweak your resume here. You could tweak your resume there. It looks good. Just keep applying. And I'm sure the student would keep applying and applying, and yet they get no results. And the question is why aren't they getting results? And so I actually opened this resume up, and I'm looking at it, and what they're applying for is not what's on the resume. And it's not that it's like, oh, they listed out all this, for example, like quant experience, and then they're out looking for like a general finance job, or they listed all this finance job, and they're looking out for a quant experience. The problem is they went to a school and didn't have the background they needed for the position, and the title of the program did match. However, it was a business degree disguised as a financial engineering program. And so I actually looked at this resume and sat on it for, at least a day or two, thinking in the back of my head, like, I would never hire this person. Because it's more or less an MBA disguised as a quant degree, because it was a business school that actually held the financial engineering. All the skills listed on their resume were basically business skills. And all the quantitative stuff was kind of like listed in a business jargon. Like, oh, I know all the Greeks, right? And so when you say that, like I have friends that have business backgrounds that always go on and tell me about like the Greeks, right? And I just kind of chuckle to myself because what are the Greeks? Like to some of my friends, the Greeks are just like the Greek symbols used in mathematics. To others, it's the Greeks that are used in financial engineering. And yet the Greek symbols all have different meanings in different areas and different kind of realms of industry. If you look at Greeks, for example, I'm sure in like another field, like physics, I'm sure is extremely different than finance. And yet it's the same kind of concept. And so I sat on this resume and I felt really, really bad about it because I wanted to help the student as much as possible, but more or less that being politically correct portion's like going through my mind. Like, should I be the dick that goes through and says like, it's a great resume for a business job, but if you want to get into quant finance or you want to do X, Y, and Z, you need to do like these different things and point out the fact that your degree doesn't look so good, your skill set doesn't look so good, you don't really have the experience, or should I just kind of polish over it and say like, oh, it looks amazing, it looks great, stamp, plus, A+ here, you're doing a great job, just keep applying. So after I sat and thought about it, I thought, it's the best for me just to be brutally honest, because the reality is no one else is going to do it. And so I have to be the dick. I have to be the guy that's rude, that basically writes this email stating like, your background's not real good. Again, you could buff it up and there's ways to make it look really well, but I have to be the guy that says it sucks. Like, you don't have the skills, you don't have the necessary abilities to do this, and then I went off and tried to explain like, this is what I would do to improve it, this is what I do to make it look better. But in general, that's the problem I have with being politically correct. I can be politically correct like everybody else, but you're not helping anybody by doing it. And so when I wrote this email, I did emphasize in the beginning of it, in the middle of it, and at the end, like, I'm trying to be as honest and helpful as possible without being a dick. Like, I'm sorry this is coming off as looking so bad, but this is why people in my industry, for example, wouldn't hire you. And so now that I've given this brutal advice, the person was actually thankful and wrote back like, hey, Dimitri, thank you for this. I'm going to work on like improving it. I'm going to work on like gaining these different skills, and I'm going to go back and rewrite my resume. So I was actually really happy the student responded so positively, because I can tell you when I was an undergrad, for example, I would have been like pissed. I've been so mad that they told me I was basically not fitting the mold, that it wasn't what I wanted to do, and that I knew best. But at the end of the day, being politically correct is not helping anybody. And so I encourage a lot of you to be brutally honest with people. Now, that being said, in a business setting, like when you have a manager, sometimes it's just best to kind of like smile and nod like, yeah, that makes sense. You're really smart. But at the end of the day, you're thinking this is complete crap. There are scenarios when you need to be politically correct and kind of smooth things over and just go with the team. But in general, I hate being politically correct for that reason. I like to be outspoken. I like my opinions to be heard, because at the end of the day, I want to help people get to the best solution, whether that's the best resume, the best career advice, or the best model possible, or the best solution to some big corporate problem. I want to be the guy that calls them out and tells them the honest truth. And I've been thanked many times for being brutally honest. I've also been called many, many negative names for this. Because I am not politically correct in general. I like to just say what I feel and think, and this has gotten me in trouble. And so I encourage a lot of you out there to be careful. Don't be like me and kind of blow chances from time to time, and I work on not doing that. But at the end of the day, try to be honest with people, try to make sure they know what's best, what's right, what your true opinion is, and try to help people the best that you can. So that's why I absolutely hate being politically correct. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me out. It helps me to keep making these videos and to actually spend time to like review resumes. So for many of you out there, I've actually reviewed resumes, and I do this because I do this out of my own free time. I'm trying to help you out. Help me out by giving me a like below. Subscribe to my channel if you like it. If you don't like it, feel free not to subscribe and just do your own thing. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. And as always, until next time. Thanks for watching my video. If you find it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe.